welcome again to this next video lecture. So in previous video lecture we discussed about the what affects the coordination of comfort zones in an organization, in which observe the power and authority hierarchies, reference group allegiances, then cultural training, then polysemic nature of language, and the evanescence of meaning. That is contextual significance of meaning and meaning changes. Means according to the context, meaning changes. So these all things we observed in the previous video lecture, and another concept. Today we are going to study another concept that I would like to talk you about is the degradation of coincident meaning. Degradation of coincident meaning, which means that the loss of importance or intensity of meaning during translation or interpretation. When we try and translate a word from one language to another, the meaning degrades. The coincident meaning degrades because the context changes and the actual meaning is lost, and we have to recreate the meaning out of context. Just by defining the concept context, we have to recreate the meaning. So for example, and this is a very interesting example, the in the unite language, which is the language that Eskimos in Alaska or the tundra region speak. Snow has various names. Now, even for those of us who have lived in colder climates, snow is snow, snow is snow. It is these flakes that fall very slowly from the sky, and sometimes flakes falls faster, sometimes they fall slower. But we have snowflakes, and we have sleet, and we have rain on hailstones. But the Eskimos have different words for snow. Powder snow is called as tlapa, kai is drifting snow, trapas is still snow, and blotla is blowing snow, etc. And I have given you the website from where I have got this meaning, and you can look the map. They have more than 50 names for snow, and that is falling from the sky. And why do they have these names? Why would the unit have different terms for snow? Because they have so much of snow in that region. They have to deal with these different effects, with the effects of these variations of snow. So if snow is falling really fast, the effect it would have on their lives, on their daily livelihood also at times would be different than the effect say powder snow would have, or than the effect smaller flakes would have. Whatever they do is dependent on nature to a great deal. So they have all these different meanings because they are the ones who have to deal with the effects of these different meanings of snow. So they coin these different terms, and that is our language evolves. We come up with different language, different terms in any languages. Because we use these terms in different contexts, we need to use these terms in different context. The situation. Okay, the next is that the situation for the degradation of coincident meanings. In what situations do meanings degrade or degenerate? One is the change of organizational context. When organizational context changes, the meaning changes, and our explanation of the meaning in our attempt to explain the meaning in a different context, the meaning degrades or degenerates. The other one is abuses of legitimate authority. I'm in a position to tell you what communication is. So you are forced to believe whatever I say about communication, so I could say anything and you will have to believe it. That is abuse of legitimate authority. I am providing reference is here for everything I say in this course. But if I was not doing that in that situation, you would have no way of knowing what I was saying, whether what I was saying was right or not. And so all I will force whatever I believe in down your throat, and that is abuse of legitimate authority. And you must have seen this happening. People will say, because I am the boss, we have to believe whatever I am saying. Because I am from such and such area, I associate more with such and such things. Whatever I say is right, and whatever everybody also saying is incorrect. The other situation for the degradation of coincident meaning is increased environmental turbulence. When you have changes, constant changes going on in the environment, the meaning may degenerate in our attempt to deal with other effects of this environmental turbulence. We may lose sense of the context and the meaning changes. Organizational, next is that organizational resistance movements by members and contradictory views. When members of any organizations have different views, they may resist the changes in any organization. They may resist whatever the organization is doing, and in doing so, the meaning of the concept would probably change or degenerate. Now, some examples of organization concepts that are evolving constantly are vision and mission statements. They are constantly evolving with the change in environment, with the change in the goals of the organization, with the change in the socio-economic, cultural, political environment. The vision and mission statements are changing, and they are also changing with the turnover of employees, especially at the higher level. And you will say, well, if they are changing, then how can they be vision and mission statements? They do undergo evolution. Like every other concept in any organization, the vision and mission statements also undergo evolution, and these things change with the context, and so does the meaning attached to these vision and mission statements. So, so how next question is that how does translation factor into all this? See, कहाँ से बात कहाँ ले गए, ओके, कुठून कुठं आलो आपण. How does translation factor enter into all this? Now all this is connected. Whatever I am saying is connected. How does translation factor into all this? We think in a language different from the one we speak in or conduct our business in most of the time. Like I said in the beginning of this class, what happens in that is that we bring our cultural backgrounds to the table. We bring our cultural backgrounds to any organization. We may end up thinking about these concepts in a language different from the one we end up explaining these concepts in. The second place where translation into translation factors into all this is our language and the response to the language we use in our work environments determines how we frame our future inputs to the organization. So the language that we think in and the response to the language we use in our work, the medium and which we respond to the language that we use at our workplace determines how we frame our future inputs to the organization, and this is our translation comes in. I am thinking in one language. The language that is coming to me from the environment is something different, and I draw parallels between these two, and then I frame a response, either the language of my organization or in my own native language. I explain things to myself in a language that I understand. It could be a mixture of language or dialogues in which I explain these concepts to myself, and then I phrase them in the language that people I work will understand. So I look for jargon once again, and all this is happening subconsciously. I am thinking in one language, I may be thinking in images, I may be thinking in words, I may be thinking in terms of formulae, but when I express it, I cannot just write down a formula on a piece of paper. I have to use words, and the language that I draw those words from is where the meaning sort of degenerates. I mean, for the meaning of meaning is very clear. If this is a class, I am imagining people sitting there and there, even though there is nobody right now. So I have for me a class is a room full of people who are nodding their heads, some of whom have questions in their minds, and I can see those things, and so that is my image of a class. But when I go to explain what a class is, I cannot describe everything that I see in a split second in my head. When I close my eyes, I can visualize a class. I can visualize men and women. Most of them are wearing jeans. young faces. Some of them are yawning, some of them are sleeping, some of them are paying attention, some of them are busy writing everything that is being said. But when I'm trying to explain it, I'm sure I will miss out certain things, and that is what we mean. When we say that the meaning degenerates when we translate the meaning from one language to another, which in the case that I just described is a visual imagery versus the language that I am using to teach this class. I cannot capture the whole scene and give you an idea, but I can see it in my head. I close my eyes and I can see it in my head. The same thing happens with languages. If you if you were to explain the different variations of snow that we just discussed, for example, the powder snow and drifting snow, and still snow and blowing snow. Now, if you see snow falls, maybe you will be able to see all these variations in your minds, but you cannot really explain them. So, when I say blowing snow, what else do I experience with the blowing snow? Do I experience sounds? Do I experience a chill? Can I feel something on my cheeks when the snow is blowing? As opposed to still snow, is still snow colder or a blowing snow colder? What do I feel more comfortable in? What happens to the way I walk in such snow? What happens will I fall in this snow? What will happen to my dogs? So all of those things are going on in my head. So when I Inuit says Kai, I mean the person has too many different things associated with Kai. Similarly, when a technical expert says ERP, enterprise resource planning, there is a whole bunch of things that come to the person's mind. What happens? But then, what challenges, what problems, what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages? All of these things come. Maybe the person also thinks about the ERP as a very expensive course, that the person may have gone through an added skill, all of those things. But when the person goes to explain these things, then all these meanings are lost. So, that is what we mean by degradation of meaning. And when the person tries to translate these things, the person will take things that mean more to the situation and describe only those. For example, if you are talking about ERP, the person is talking about ERP. But when the person is describing ERP to his colleagues, he probably talk about advantages and disadvantages as related to the organization. The person may not mention because he or she had to incur while going through this program and the problem that he or she faced while learning the program. So that is what we mean. Okay, now what happens is that when we attempt to explain our thoughts and ideas to our peers, we tend to oversimplify what we are saying, or we tend to downplay things. We just keep them what they may want to hear or what will make sense to them. So we essentially expand things when are trying to explain things, or we will selectively take portions or whatever we are saying and describing only those portions to appears. Meaning is essentially embedded in context, and the lack of familiarity with the context results in inhibition of the accurate interpretation of meaning. Let us take the examples of snow once again. The meaning is embedded in that context. The meaning of blowing snow versus drifting snow versus still snow versus powder snow is in the context. When you take it out of context, when you take it to person who is studying physical geography, for example, but has had no experience with real snow, the person will need to see some video of the differences in these things to understand what the concept is about. And even then, it will just be a visual. You cannot physically be present there and imagine this. I mean, till you physically present in that situation and experiencing all these things, the meaning evades us, and that is how the meaning degrades or degenerates in any form of translation. Okay, so it has some problems. It has some major problems posed by translation in organizations. The first one here is the issues involving inaccuracies in carrying over referential meanings from one language to another. How do we describe things? How do we discuss meanings? We provide a reference to something that the person listening to us already knows. That is how we describe meanings. That is how we explain things to people. You know X. So I'm going to explain it to you in terms of Y. When I'm telling, okay, a person living in the plains about snow, I say, have you seen ice? You know what ice looks like and the ice that you have in the fridge. And the person says, yes, I have seen this ice on the inside of a refrigerator, in the inside of freezer compartment. Okay, that is what snow on the ground looks like. So it is white in color, it is powdery, it is cold. Person has never seen snow, so I describe it in terms of whatever the person already knows, and that is what we mean by referential meaning. We give the reference here. So it is inaccurate to some extent. If you lived in a cold place, you will know that this snow that falls is not similar to the ice inside a refrigerator. In the older times, I mean these days, of course, refrigerators do not have that kind of ice. Only if something falls and you have enough moisture and the refrigerators not doing its job. Do you see that on the inside? But in the olden refrigerators, maybe 10, 12 years ago, 50 years ago, we used to have these old style refrigerators with freezer compartments, and you would see this powdery snow. And still, if you have been, if you live in a cold place and you've seen the snow fallen on the ground, there is very little similarity between the two, except that it's cold and it is white and it is powdery. But the texture is very different, and it doesn't resembles the snow falling from the sky. So there is some type or some amount of inaccuracy in carrying over these referential meanings. But we have no other choice. We have no other way of explaining things to somebody who has not been exposed to these concepts. Similarly, taking things from one language to another language, we use terms that the other person may be familiar with, but that may not accurately describe. But we are trying to say issues involving, the next thing is that issues involving the loss of common socio-cultural context. Unless people's socio-cultural context are the same, which is a big problem in today's organizations. We come from different languages and cultures, and so we do not have similar socio-cultural context, and that commonality is lost when you try and explain things in a third language to somebody. Now, somebody from Gujarat would know what charge is. Somebody would from Punjabi would talk about charge differently. Definition of professionalism, the definition of professionalism for a person living in Mumbai is different from the definition of professionalism for a person living in Delhi. Is different from the definition of a person living in smaller places like Raipur, for example, or maybe Calcutta, or some or Bhubaneswar, some Solapur, Kolhapur, or other cities. So the common socio-culture context is lost when we try and explain these things in a third language. Issues, okay. So next point is that issues involving the change or sedimentation of power relationships. What this really means is that the power relationships, or the power person in a position of authority is usually the one to decide which meaning needs to be adopted, and once the meaning is adopted, then this translation becomes a factor in the concretization of the power relationship. Yes, we have to listen to person X, so the person is more knowledgeable about this concept. The person may not know anything, but because the person explaining, say, the concept of ERP to you has been able to do it in a convincing manner, we decide that so and so knows enough about the ERP, and so we put this person, the person sort of starts being perceived as an expert on ERP. So this is what translation does in organization. Okay, So next is that implications. The implications now of translation in any organization. The major implication here is that translation has the potential to degrade coincident meanings, which means there is a vulnerability to erosion of worker task accomplishment, productivity, commitment to programs and institutions, and compliance. Now, when these coincident meanings are degraded, we establish that the common meanings or the commonly understood meanings are degraded because of translation. Yes, and then since translation has this potential to degrade coincident meanings, this results in the erosion of worker task accomplishment. I do not understand what somebody else is saying to me. So my sense of accomplishment or my accomplishment of what I am trying to achieve is brought it down because I am not fully understanding what is required or what I am doing. The productivity can come down if I am not able to understand things in the right context. Commitment to programs and institutions may come down, and if a meaning is forced to my throat, if somebody in a position of authority forces me to agree to something or to agree to the interpretation of something that I may not necessarily agree with, but have to because somebody in a position of authority is doing, is forcing me to agree to it, then my compliance could go down. My ability to or my willingness to comply with whatever this person in the position of authority is saying will come down. Now, how do we correct this? We have some remedies that are listed here. Once, we should avoid the ready to hand translator, which means that we should depend more upon our research. We should depend more upon our intelligence or maturity in finding somebody who can translate things only after having done enough research or having had a thorough understanding of whatever is being talked about. For example, the ERP, instead of depending on somebody who has a ready-made answer for any problem with the ERP or foreign explanation of ERP, we may want to listen to somebody who has actually gone through the system and developed the ERP or adopted the ERP to an organization. So we need to avoid the ready-to-hand translator. We need to employ specialists who know what they are doing. We need to employ people who have specialized training. We need to facilitate the familiarity of expert translators with the socio-cultural context of the organization. So we need to help these expert translators. These experts, these specialists become familiar with the culture of organization, and we need to communicate policy interpretations, procedure and product changes, key job information, etc. in writing as well as thorough face-to-face discussion. If you put things in writing, the number of interpretations goes down dramatically when we have face-to-face discussion with our employees. We are able to come to a common understanding. We are able to create a common culture, a common context for the cooperation of meaning. So we are able to create coincident meanings through face-to-face discussion with people, and that is how we remedy this situation. So now I have an exercise for you all. For the first thing I want you to do is map the language that you or the dialect that you thinking. Language means dialect. Dialect, the language which is spoken in your locality, in your region. That language is called here dialect. Boli Bhasha in short. So I also want you to map the languages and the dialects, the other students in your class thinking, and the languages and the dialects the teachers who teach you thinking. And then I want you to make a list of words from your own language or dialect and from the languages or dialects of your classmates and teachers that would be hard to describe in the language spoken in your class. I can give you one example of an interesting word like that. There is a word in Punjabi called jhalla or jhelli. So I cannot explain it. I have no way of explaining it. So that is one, and I also want you to discuss how this inability to explain these words to someone not familiar with the language you use could affect your performance as a team. If there was some specific word that you were trying to explain to people who were not familiar with your language, what problems could it bring to your performance as a team? You may use some sort of an activity as an example for this. So you do this and we will talk more next time. Thank you.